The VIP passed to Jesus. In the dusty streets of Capernaum, where the sun beat down on clay roofs and market stalls, everyone wanted to see Jesus. The sick wanted healing. The teachers wanted answers. And the important people, well, they wanted to be seen with him. Maya clutched a wildflower in her small hand, its petals already wilting in the heat. Beside her, Leo held a tiny wooden boat he'd carved himself, lopsided but made with love. They'd walked all the way from the edge of town just to give Jesus their gifts. But when they reached the crowded plaza, they couldn't even see him. A wall of grown-ups blocked their view. Merchants with heavy coin purses, teachers with long scrolls, officials with fancy robes. And standing guard at the front, Peter, Jesus' friend, with his big fisherman arms crossed like a fortress gate. "Excuse me," Maya called out, standing on her tiptoes. "We brought Jesus a present." Peter looked down, his weathered face kind but firm. "Not now, little ones. Jesus is very busy with important people. Maybe come back next week?" Maya's face fell like a stone into a well. Leo looked at his crooked boat and felt suddenly foolish. They stepped back into the crowd, invisible among the forest of adult legs. But Maya wasn't one to give up easily. She tugged Leo's sleeve and whispered, "Let's try the other side." They circled around, weaving between market carts and donkeys, until they found a stack of empty crates. Climbing up, they could finally see Jesus, his kind eyes, his gentle smile as he spoke to a woman carrying a heavy water jar. "Maybe, if we're really quiet," Leo whispered, "they won't notice us." They tiptoed forward, hearts pounding like drums. But another disciple spotted them and shook his head like a disappointed schoolmaster. "Children, children, Jesus is teaching about the kingdom of God. This is serious grown-up stuff." "But we want to learn about the kingdom," Maya protested, her voice small but brave. "When you're older," the disciple said, shooing them away with his hands. "Now scoot along." This time, the rejection stung deeper. Maya and Leo sat on the edge of the stone fountain, their gifts feeling heavier than ever. Around them, the important people kept pushing forward, kept talking louder, kept acting like they belonged there. And then, Jesus stopped mid-sentence. The whole plaza seemed to hold its breath. He looked past the merchants, past the teachers, past all the important people with their important things. His eyes found two small figures sitting alone by the fountain, shoulders slumped, hope draining away like water through sand. His face changed, softened, brightened. "Wait," Jesus said, his voice cutting through the noise like a bell. "Who sent those children away?" The crowd went silent. Peter looked at his sandals, suddenly very interested in the dust on them. "Well, Master," Peter mumbled, "we thought, you're so busy, and they're so small." Jesus stood up, and when he spoke, his voice was firm but full of warmth, like a father correcting a beloved child. "Let the little children come to me. Do not hinder them." The crowd parted like a curtain being drawn back. Maya and Leo looked up, eyes wide as full moons. Jesus walked toward them, not hurried, not bothered, but purposeful. He knelt down in the dust, right there in front of everyone, until he was eye level with them. Suddenly, they weren't looking up at a distant teacher. They were looking into the eyes of a friend. "What's this?" Jesus asked, his smile crinkling the corners of his eyes. Leo held out his boat, hands trembling. "It's a boat, like the one you calmed the storm in." Maya thrust forward her wilted flower. "And this is because, well, you made all the flowers, right?" Jesus took both gifts as if they were treasures from a king's vault. He laughed, not at them, but with pure delight. "You two understand more than you know." Then he turned to the crowd, still holding the children close, one hand on each of their heads like a blessing already begun. "Truly, I say to you," Jesus declared, his voice carrying across the plaza, "whoever does not receive the kingdom of God like a child shall not enter it." The adults looked at each other, confused. Peter scratched his beard. The important people shifted uncomfortably. Jesus picked up Leo and set him on his shoulders. Maya giggled as he took her hand. "The kingdom of God belongs to ones like these," he said. "They don't need fancy words or important titles. They don't need to prove they're worthy. They just need to come." And then something magical happened. Other children emerged from the crowd, kids who'd been hiding behind their parents' robes, waiting, hoping, wondering if maybe, just maybe, they mattered too. They rushed forward like a dam breaking, and Jesus welcomed each one with open arms. The disciples stepped aside, and this time they were smiling. Jesus sat on a low stone wall, surrounded by laughing children. He admired Leo's boat. He tucked Maya's flower behind his ear. He listened to their stories and answered their questions and made each one feel like the most important person in the world. Because in his kingdom, they were. The important people watched, and slowly, very slowly, they began to understand. The kingdom of God wasn't about who had the biggest house or the longest scroll or the fanciest robe. It was about coming to Jesus with open hands and honest hearts. It was about knowing you didn't have to earn your way in. It was about believing that you, yes, you, were loved beyond measure, welcomed without question, and seen by the King of all creation. Maya and Leo learned something that day that they would never forget. You don't need a VIP pass to get to Jesus. You just need to come, because in His kingdom, you're already the VIP. Let the children come to me, for to such belongs the kingdom of God. Luke 18:16.